Welcome to the Answers for Elders radio show. Meet the trusted experts who will give you straight answers and will help guide you on the path of later life care. Now, here's your host, founder, caregiver, and CEO, Suzanne Newman.
And welcome back, everyone, to Answers for Elders Podcast Network. And I'm here with Lori Hudson of HudsonInsuranceSolutions.com. And Lori and I have been talking about finding purpose and connection. And that is part of the Vitality Revolution that we are dealing with right now and featuring on the 8 foundational principles of wellness. And you know what this topic we're going to talk about now is, I can see it being an occupational wellness aspect, but it's also social wellness. And I think it's a perfect topic that we can talk about. And that is writing your own memoir and telling your story and making sure that it's connected to your family and your legacy. And so we're going to talk a little bit about how you get started, why it's important to tell your story. And certainly, Lori, you work with seniors and those of us that are turning 65 as we do. So welcome back to the program.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And this is another fun topic.
It is. Yeah, and you're a writer.
Nice for me that I get outside of just the insurance.
Yes. Well, and people get to know you as an individual, which you are so amazing and you have such a heart. And that's one of the reasons why I love working with you. And I will tell all of our listeners, if you're looking for a good Medicare, somebody that's going to listen to you specifically for what you need and not just try to push you into something, that's Lori. And I think she's pretty amazing. So I'm very grateful to you every day. And I love my Humana plan. So Lori, tell me a little bit about writing a memoir. You're a writer. So I'm not a good writer. So please share with me a little bit about that piece.
Well, I think we all have it in us in some way or another. I think the first step is reflecting on our lives, just thinking about it, journaling, but then also coming up with a theme, defining the focus. What do you want to accomplish with it? And I think about my family members. I would love it if my dad would have written some of these things down or, told somebody else some of them. I mean, I'm learning things about my dad that my uncle told my cousin,
Wow.
So it's so important, I think, to think about that and think about our children, our grandkids, their family members, and even cousins or whoever it is can really benefit from having those stories. I think it's so important. So I think the first of all is thinking about who's your audience and what do you want the theme to be? Because we've lived a lot of life. So that would be, if we wrote down every single thing we did our whole life, that would be quite a task, number one, and quite a thick book, number two. So
exactly. Yeah.
Thinking about the focus. So that's kind of the theme. Do you want it to be a certain time period of your life that was interesting?
Absolutely.
Or, are there some things that you want to share with your kids that maybe when you were a child, those kinds of things. So I think that's kind of the starting point too, is thinking about what do you want your focus to be? Yeah.
And I think your focus on your life, it's like, I think it's important that we do leave a legacy for the people that we leave behind. I think everybody wants to have meaning, and we talk about that, a sense of purpose. I think when we get older, I know I'm feeling it, as I'm starting to get close to 70, I'm going to be 68 in my next birthday. But I think about, how I just moved into a house and it already has grab bars in it already installed. And it's so funny because normally I think, oh my gosh, it's for old people. And I'm going, my husband just said, honey, you may not need them now, but who knows where you're going to be 3 years from now or a year from now when you're this age and you look at living in a world around you that you want to know that you're making a difference, that you've made an impact. And I think that is pretty much the same for all of us when we get older.
Yes. And I think when our, kids and grandkids, they look at us and they think, oh, there's this old person, but we were young once too. And I think a lot of times they don't even consider that or think about that. And, my aunt wrote some letters talking about, she's passed away now, but she was 102 when she passed away. So she was born in 1920. And so my cousin encouraged her to write some letters to talk about some of the things about when she was a child.
Wow.
It was just interesting.
So how do we start to write a memoir?
Well, again, defining your focus of what you want to do. And then, like any writing, you want to create the outline of how you want to do it. And then just start with some key memories. Maybe start your outline with some key memories that you want to focus on, and then you can expand upon it from there. But also just keep at it, I think, and develop that writing voice. You may not be, I think some people get frustrated right in the beginning that, oh, this doesn't sound right. But, the thing is that it's changeable. You're not writing in
you're not writing in stone, right?
Stone tablet. And especially now with all the technology, there's apps for that. You can create a
it's interesting you're saying that, because we're now able to trace our family tree, and you see these people's names that who are your ancestors. And it would be interesting, it would be amazing to have some sort of a memoir that you could read about these people, of what their lives were like, what they did, because I don't know anything except a name and maybe where they lived. So it's interesting to see, and obviously it's an important thing for future generations. So are you so obviously you define things in your focus and you talk about the outline. And then once you get the outline, then how do you determine and how do you put the rest of it together?
I think one of the important things is getting into a routine that you're going to sit down and write at a certain time, or, create that routine. Maybe nothing will come to mind. But if you just kind of start setting that routine and just show up, it's kind of like anything in life. Just showing up is number one. So I think creating that routine can be really important, and you will be surprised the things that come to mind. And also, thinking about that with meditation, or because if you meditate, things just kind of pop in.
Yeah. And I think that's true, because obviously, we may not think that our lives matter, but I think the more and more we can get self-affirmation and connection to not only, ourselves, I think, through the process, but also connection to those around us and the generations to come. It's something that's important. I know that, there's things that that my ancestors probably did that were amazing, that I will never know, right?
Or maybe not so amazing, but interesting. Because my background, I'm Swedish too, and one of the things when we were doing the family history is that it came out that it's rumored that my great grandfather was in a bar fight and somebody died, and that's why he came to the U.S. Otherwise,
oh my goodness,
I probably would be living in Sweden now. I don't know, but interesting things like that maybe, okay, well, maybe I don't know if I'm like super proud of that, but it's an interesting fact that that's
my grandmother had a similar story in Sweden, and she came to the U.S. With the Seventh-day Adventist Church because of a situation in her life.
Yeah, and it's just things that it's kind of fun to think about how one's thing like that can just change the trajectory of your whole family. So it's kind of interesting to think about that. And
Absolutely.
one thing I want to mention too with the, so there's the technology, so you can consult with a professional. I mean, if you have a really dynamic story that you want to publish, you could, you know, start working with a professional. And now there's all the apps out there, the AI, chat GBT and all those kinds of things. But just keep in mind that if you use those chat features or the writing features, that they own it. So if it's something that you do want to publish at some point in time, you know, if it's something that you're serious about that, then you don't want to use chat GBT. Because
absolutely. And I think too, have conversations with your family members saying, you know, I want to write my story. And I think sometimes family members will say, well, make sure you talk about XYZ. Those things are important. They're living with you in the here and now. You may not realize that this was any big deal, but to your family members, it might be something that you want to tell that story from too.
And there, you know, the other thing about some of these apps that are out there, they will ask you prompting questions. So, and there's a service, I can't remember what it's called, that they will send you an email once a week to, and then you have to pay to have this story published. But there's also apps where it will just ask you some prompting questions. And so sometimes that can be helpful. Just to have some kind of prompt. You know, something to jar a memory or something to get your juices flowing and think about something that's happened in your life can be really interesting. And I also want to say, I think it's super important if we do have living parents to start asking them some questions.
Absolutely.
And get that documented, because I have so many regrets about not asking my dad more questions. About his
my dad was an amazing piano player. Do you know I never once recorded him?
Oh, yeah.
So you're right. So anyway, this is an amazing topic to talk about. It's something that we've never talked about on this program. So I'm really excited that we're doing that. In the meantime, Lori, how do we reach you?
The best way to reach me is my website, which is HudsonInsuranceSolutions.com. So it's HUTSON, insurancesolutions.com. And I help Medicare beneficiaries in Washington and now in California. And so you can fill out a contact form on my website. And if you're in another state, I'll put you in touch with somebody.
Fabulous. And I will personally testify the fact that Lori is amazing. And I am very excited to have you on this program, and special thanks to Humana for sponsoring the Vitality Revolution. And until next week, everyone, be good to each other. We at Answers for Elders thank you for listening. Did you know that you can discover hundreds of podcasts in our library on senior care? So visit our website and discover our decision guides that will help you also navigate decision making. Find us at answersforelders.com.